Hi friends, and welcome back to Web3Weirdos. I'm your host, Angie, aka Angie, and today we are diving into the Metaverse, the online utopian society that promises us kick-ass characters that are uniquely accessorized, the ability to rub elbows with celebrities no matter who you are, and a place where you can gather and build your own world with your friends and complete strangers across the globe. If you are enjoying the series or you're just enjoying me, go ahead and click that like and subscribe button so I continue making these and you never miss an episode. Okay, first things first, what is a metaverse? So you can think of metaverses as virtual worlds where you can come together, socialize, and play with other people. So popular metaverses that you might already exist in or have existed in before, Animal Crossing. I know that is a hugely popular metaverse that tons of people are part of, but we don't really call it a metaverse even though it is. It is a metaverse where you can gather with other people, you can gather with your friends. You can do things like have weddings, host parties, meet with your team. There's a ton of different social interaction that is available to you in Animal Crossing. Other popular metaverses that exist today, that have existed for a while, Fortnite, Minecraft, and even if you take it a step back, you can think of games like The Sims, SimCity. Those in itself were essentially metaverses, though they didn't have the exact technology that we have today. When it comes to metaverses, there are a couple different types. So you can have a virtual reality metaverse like Animal Crossing or The Sims, where you're basically put into this virtual world and you can do pretty much anything that you could do in real life. There are also augmented reality metaverses, and those are a little bit different because augmented reality, as you know, adds a digital layer on top of our existing physical world. And so when you think of an augmented reality metaverse, you can think of things like Pokemon Go. If you remember playing that, opening your phone and just having all these little creatures exist in your actual workspace or living space where you were. And then on top of that, you have virtual worlds. And sometimes people will say virtual worlds are its own type of metaverse. I actually think virtual worlds are the container for virtual reality and augmented reality metaverses. And so with virtual worlds, you get world building, you have the entire ecosystem for everything that people are doing in the virtual space. Some examples of virtual world metaverses could be like Roblox, Sandbox, Decentraland, as well as some of the things that some larger companies are working on building. So Meta, formerly known as Facebook, is working on a virtual world, which is a great segue into talking about open versus closed metaverses. Obviously, in Web3, everything is decentralized, or ideally that is the goal. But some companies are actually deciding they don't want to do that decentralized thing, and they are building closed metaverses, kind of defeating the purpose, but that's a conversation for another day. So closed metaverses just basically mean that you cannot interact with things outside of that metaverse, which is a shame because as we build these decentralized worlds, I want to bring my NFTs from Ethereum into Solana metaverses, and some closed metaverses are not going to let me do that. On the flip side, you have open metaverses that exist that are going to allow you to have that cross-chain activity. So something I hear a lot of is people asking me, okay, Angie, if the metaverses are just like The Sims, what's the difference today than back in the day? And I'm going to tell you right now, there's a few. Okay, first off, we have mass adoption of metaverses in a way that we did not have before. Because of the current climate that this entire world is facing because of COVID, people are looking to find ways to connect and get together in ways that they were never looking for before. A second thing that's changed today is the technology. So even though you could play The Sims before, and they did add things like online connections so you could potentially share with other people, it wasn't the same. I couldn't just bring my friends into my sim world in a way that Animal Crossing allowed us to do. So because of that advanced technology, we're now able to have a global presence and a global engagement that we didn't have in prior metaverses. The third reason is that there is actual ownership involved in the metaverses. And so you might hear me say things like Web3 is pay to play, but in the metaverse, you actually get paid to play in there, which is wild. There's gonna be a whole shift in gaming where in 5-10 years, nobody's gonna play a video game if they are not getting rewarded for their activity. And the metaverse actually gives you that ownership in the space. Okay, so let's talk about some of the metaverses that exist. And when I say there's a metaverse for everything, I mean there's a metaverse for everything. I remember reading a couple months ago that Playboy decided to launch a new platform called Centerfold, and their goal is to rival OnlyFans in the metaverse. So yes, there is literally a metaverse for everything that you're looking for. Fashion is a huge industry that is popping up in the metaverse. It's actually a $40 billion industry popping up in the metaverse. And so when I say fashion in the metaverse, I'm talking digital collaborations with other metaverse platforms. I'm talking about in-game skins for games like Fortnite and other platforms where you have avatars. I'm talking about digital collections from well-known designers that are only available in the metaverse space. And so these designers and these celebrities are coming into the metaverse and creating goods that you can only get in the metaverse, and they're going to be incredibly popular. Well, they are incredibly popular, but they're also going to be incredibly useful, because when you exist in the metaverse, the way you're going to differentiate yourself is through the digital goods that you have. Another huge industry in the metaverse is gaming, of course. They have the opportunity to actually reward you with real money or real crypto for playing in their space, which is bringing more people in, because who doesn't want to get paid to play? Like, who doesn't want to get paid? Music is also a huge industry in the metaverse. Travis Scott moved his AstroWorld into the metaverse and made $20 million for doing 5-10-minute shows. Lil Nas X did a collab with Roblox and did a concert in their space. Snoop Dogg is actually building his own Snoopverse, his own Snoop Dogg metaverse. Musicians are quickly moving into the metaverse because they see that with little work, there is a high reward, and they have a broader reach. Instead of just doing a physical concert where you can have a few thousand, a few 100,000 people, you can have a global presence where you have millions of people in attendance to your concert. And you didn't have any physical overhead, you didn't have to do a tour, you didn't have to move. You can literally stay in your space. And so music is blowing up in the metaverse. A not so surprising but kind of interesting thing to watch pop up in the metaverse is actually enterprises and real life. So obviously we know that Facebook, aka Meta, is trying to move everything into the metaverse, but other enterprises and other corporations are actually popping up in the metaverse doing the exact same thing. So Consensus has their own HQ in the metaverse, and as we see more companies moving remote, they are all looking for ways to bring their employees together. And what better place to bring your employees together than in the metaverse, where you can create an entire world that is almost similar to those beautiful, fun tech offices that existed, but no longer have a purpose because you don't want to be tied down to an office anymore. Okay, I could probably talk about so many more use cases for the metaverse, but I'm gonna leave it the last one. Real estate is huge in the metaverse. I have 2 apartments in the metaverse in Portals. I'm gonna share more all about that in another video, but there are other metaverses that are popping up that are land only, and it is actually becoming a real thing. I bought my apartment for, I think, $300, and it's worth today about $3,000, and it's only been a month. And we haven't even built out the society. So as we build out that metaverse, that apartment rate is gonna go up and that equity is gonna raise. And it is just like a real world piece of land, which is absolutely wild. But it's not wild because there's tons of buy-in. And like anything in this world, we determine the value of it. So some people might say, why would I spend a couple $100s or a couple $1,000s on a piece of virtual land? Well, if people decide that virtual land is valuable, then that virtual land is valuable. So that's why you would spend that money to buy it. So right now, the metaverse is predicted to be an $800 billion industry. Billion-dollar industry. It is currently over a $400 billion industry. So by 2024, they're predicting a double growth. So what does that mean for our world? Whether you're on board or not, it is moving forward. Gen Z actually makes up the majority of users in the metaverse, which is not surprising because they were raised on the internet. Whether millennials hop on board and anybody who came before us hops on board, it literally does not matter because Gen Z and those future generations are driving the metaverse forward with or without us. So it doesn't really matter if you're into it, it's gonna happen. But what does it mean for us? It means that everything is moving online. So one of the biggest drivers in the metaverse is the fact that celebrities are hopping on and staking their place in the metaverse. So there are tons of different metaverses and there are different celebrities attached to every single one. And because there are celebrities attached to each metaverse, it means there are gonna be people flocking to those metaverses. Like, remember when Twitter launched way back in the day, and what was cool about it? Well, one, you could connect with people. Two, you had access to them. And three, there were literally celebrities who would just respond to your tweets and reply and retweet you. And that made a huge difference in who was using Twitter. That alone was priceless. So think of that in the metaverse. Like, you can go into a metaverse where Cardi B exists, and if you are a musician, you want to be heard from her. And that can literally happen because if you're an early adopter, you have the opportunity to be found by the people that you want to be found by. That in itself is priceless, and that is why people are paying to be in these spaces, and that is why the metaverse is gonna make it. Another reason why this all matters is that your favorite designers, your favorite creators, your favorite makers are all migrating to the metaverse because they see the value in it. They understand that there's a bigger reach available to them, and they understand that if they want to stay relevant, they need to move forward with the changes in technology and the trends that are coming up. And because of that, it means that the things that you are in love with right now, your Nike sneakers, your Ivy Park on Adidas, like all of those things that you are a fan of are moving to the metaverse. So if you want to stay relevant yourself with the trends, you're going to move to the metaverse with it. So with that being said, where is the metaverse? Where do I find the metaverse? Okay, so if you watched my previous episode from last week, you know that NFTs are not just JPEGs, they are actually your access tokens to the metaverse. So when I bought my metaverse apartment, I bought 2 NFT access tokens that gave me literal keys to apartments in the metaverse. And that is what you are gonna have to do. So I'm gonna go ahead in the description and link a couple different metaverses that you can explore and play with. And every metaverse is gonna have its own access rules. And just like NFTs and NFT collections, when a metaverse opens, that's when you want to join, because all of the spots for the metaverse are going to sell out. They're usually rolled out in limited releases. So if you want to get in on that metaverse, you're going to want to get in early so you can get the lowest cost possible. Don't worry if you missed out on some of the early metaverses. There are new ones popping up every day. And once you find that metaverse that you want to join, you already know what I'm going to say. Go ahead and follow them on Twitter. Go ahead and find that Discord and join it so you don't miss any announcements that they're putting out. And go ahead and figure out what the steps are for you to join. By now, I'm hoping that you're getting familiar with some of the terms in the space, as well as some of the ways that you're going to gain access. And of course, if you have any questions, I'm going to go ahead and plug that Web3Weirdos Discord again, because we are just sharing information about new things that are coming out, how to get involved with them, and what you need to know. I'll go ahead and put that link in the description as well. Okay, metaverses are exciting. I'm excited by metaverses. I hope you're excited by them as well. Once again, thank you for joining me, Angie, I don't know, aka Angie, for another episode of Web3Weirdos. If you are not already following me on Twitter, go ahead and do that. I'm Angie, I don't know. And please like and subscribe the video so 1, I keep making them, 2, you don't miss the next one. Thank you for joining me here. I will see you next week, same time, same place.